Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm an English teacher and language anxiety coach. And in this video, I want to talk about why it's important to study little and often. So I think sometimes people think that they ought to study or they should study for long periods of time. And I wonder if this comes from school, because when we go to school, we do things for, 45 minutes or an hour or however long your class is. And I think this kind of maybe creates the expectation that if we're going to study something, we really need to do it for quite a long time. Otherwise, what is the point? But I would say that for most of us, particularly those of us like me, we're adults, we've got jobs and lives and families and, a lot of things happening. It can be very difficult to create an hour a day to study. And this is even true of people who are working for exams, because, maybe you're working for CAE, but you've got a full-time job and 2 children. Well, finding an hour a day is not always going to be that easy for you. And it can be very demotivating, because we constantly feel like, oh, I don't have time, I can't do this. And then, of course, inevitably, at some point, we just want to give up because we're not getting anywhere. Now, I learned Chinese, and I would love to be able to spend, half an hour a day, 45 minutes a day studying Chinese. That would be great. But I can't, because I don't have the time. Or, I'm going to rephrase that, I choose to spend the time on different things. That's actually the truth. So instead of worrying about this, I have found little spaces where I can access Chinese. I wouldn't quite call it studying, but I can do something in Chinese for maybe 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. And the way I see it is that if I can do this most days of the week, actually, I've done okay. I've done some Chinese study most days of the week. So for me, what works is that when I'm eating my breakfast, which I eat on my own because my boyfriend has already left, I read my book in Chinese. So I've got about 10 or 15, maybe 20 minutes if I'm not in a rush, every morning, Monday to Friday, for reading time. And that's really cool. Sometimes when I'm eating my breakfast, I do some vocabulary review instead. But the morning time is a kind of quiet, ready kind of time. And what I also do now when I'm cooking my tea, or sometimes when I'm walking my dog, is I listen to Chinese. So I might listen to a recording of the book that I'm reading. I'm trying to find Harry Potter as an audiobook in Chinese. But basically I try and do another 15 to 30 minutes of listening 4 or 5 times a week. Now, in an ideal world, I would also do perhaps 20 minutes or 30 minutes of vocabulary review on a Saturday and Sunday. If I could do that, I'd probably feel quite happy with what I'm doing. But the point really that I want to emphasize is that I never sit down with a grammar book and do some really serious study for 2 hours, because I haven't got 2 hours. I can't do that. So if you are struggling a little bit and feeling a little bit like, oh, I just don't have time, I can't make time, it's impossible to find time, I would really encourage you to think outside the box a little bit. Where have you got time that you could do something in English at the same time as you do something else? So on the bus, on the train, When you're walking to work, you can listen to podcasts. You can read in the bath. I like reading in the bath. There's lots of ways that you can kind of integrate language learning into the rest of your life. And I think that is really key for anyone who struggles to find time. And the other thing I would say is, do you know what? Even if you only do 10 minutes, it is far, far better for you to do 5 or 10 or 15 minutes study on a regular basis than it is for you to try and do 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon. Consistency is really, really key. So little and often with your language learning. I hope that was useful. Any comments, any questions, please leave them under the video.